Okay, so the vaccine rollout across the country has had all sorts of issues. Now, a 22-year-old grad student is coming under fire. He was put in charge of a charity running a massive injection site at the Philadelphia Convention Center. He's accused of changing the group's nonprofit status, as well as taking doses and giving them to his young friends. Here's what he explained to the Today Show.
We called. The doses were about to expire. We called everybody we knew. Every single person.
Are you qualified to give a vaccine?
I am not a nurse. I have undergone our internal certifications.
But Andre, you're not qualified, right?
No, I stand by that decision. I understand that I made that mistake. That is my mistake to carry for the rest of my life. But it is not the mistake of the organization.
So what should happen to leftover doses? Is it okay to give them to younger people? And should people be making money off of this? Jeff, how are you feeling right now after hearing his response?
I kind of liked how he owned up to it, that aside, right? I did like how he did that. Here's the thing, Sam. Again, I break everything down and people are so tired of it. If those doses were going in the garbage, that's a different story, right? Like if they were getting wasted, why not give them to his friends? That's my stake. We take these things out of context all the time and say, well, how come rich people are getting this? Well, how come you pay somebody to get a better table at going out to dinner? How come some people go to the Super Bowl and some people can't even afford to go to their local football games? Money buys you things that other people can't have. And we look at it and say, how could this ever happen? Because this is America. This is what people do, not in America, across the world. You get luxuries from having more money. That's what it is. But now you're going to take this 22-year-old and chastise him for giving his friends, which I would argue if I was 22 and I was doing that, I might give my friends a dose or two as well, as opposed to throwing them in the garbage.
Listen, I think I'm going to chastise him. And I wasn't perfect at 22 years old either. But the fact that this is life or death, and the fact that he is, in my opinion, backpedaling, I do not think he's owning or taking accountability. I think he's giving like a little bit of accountability, but not telling us the full story. If he thought that those doses were about to expire, he should have called the commissioner. He should have called your local city council. He should have called healthcare workers, hospitals, elderly facilities. There's so many other avenues he could have gone down, but instead, he gave them to his friends because he never, in my opinion, cared to call commissioners. I don't even think it was about the vaccines expiring. I think that is his excuse. And considering that this is life or death, considering that I still, and I say it every day on the show, and I'm going to say it every day on the show until my brother-in-law recovers, until we can finally get a hold of COVID, we need to make sure that those vaccines go to the people on the front lines, the healthcare workers, the elderly. I'm angry.
Sam, you have a right to be angry, but I'll just ask you this, Tori. Why isn't there a protocol set in place? And why are we asking the bigger question, why do we have leftover doses? Airlines have figured out a way to not have leftover seats. Last time I checked.
Because they have to be held at a certain temperature, which is like, I don't know.
I'm just saying, why aren't there people right there?
Some people in rural areas don't have a facility to store these things. So
I believe that, but I'm saying, why aren't there just 50 people sitting there, like almost like when you're waiting for a flight and you're on standby and you're like, oh, that might be full, might not. Just stand there. I would just, if they told me where to go every day, like this is a distribution center. Look, it says on paper we are all sold out, but you may stay here, and if we have any...
Tori, they've done that. Tori, jump in. There has been facilities that have announced we have some leftover doses.
Where are they announcing it? What's the plan?
So here's the deal. Here's the deal what I think. What you all are saying is correct. First of all, this 22-year-old had no qualifications for his company to be put in charge. That's for sure. He shouldn't have made it for profit. End of story. But we are taking a anvil or a hammer to this problem, and we need a scalpel. Just like Jeff said, in rural areas, we don't have enough. In what Al said, in urban areas, there's too much, so they're tossing them. We've got to start to make this a FEMA-based, a Army Corps of Engineer-based. This has to be organized as like the greatest national infrastructure that we have. It has to be at every pharmacy, and it has to also get to old people who aren't comfortable with the internet. That's a huge issue that we're finding. Elderly people aren't signing up for the websites because they ain't knowing what a website is. So I was really happy to hear the press secretary, Jen Psaki, say, we are going to try and meet people people at the rural places and match them where they are most comfortable with communication. But right now, we need a scalpel, not an anvil, because we're getting it all wrong all over the place.
Let me just
Final
put a
thought,
button on
final
this
thought.
thing for you. We don't know what this is, right? We've never distributed this many vaccines to anybody, so we don't. It's not going to be perfect, and everyone wants to judge the system and how it's going right away. Half these people complaining online don't even want the vaccine because they're scared of it. So it's like people are just complaining to complain. We don't know how this works. We don't know how it rolls out. Do we want everybody who needs it the most to get it first? Of course, but it's not going to happen like that because of rural areas, because of storage facilities can't facilitate the temperature that these things need to be stored at. It goes so much deeper than to just argue online about it. Sorry.
Well, good.
No,
Thank you for that
apologize.
and good conversation.